So just like I explained, we're going to do a few IDs. So you're just going to state your name, hometown, and sport. So Justin Olsen, San Antonio, Texas, bobsled.
Okay.
You could go.
Justin Olsen, San Antonio, Texas, bobsled.
And can you do one for Colorado Springs as well?
Justin Olsen, Colorado Springs, Colorado, bobsled.
What was it like growing up in San Antonio?
It was great. Weather was great. I'd say we had pretty much summer all the time, but I didn't really know that winter meant snow and people wore jackets. Like we wore jackets when it was 60 degrees and ran around and, played at the bus stop, tag in our jackets, and that was winter for us. No, days were good. Summers were great. Ran around at the pool with my friends. Our neighborhood was happening. We had a lot of people that were my age. We played, street hockey, played football, ruined the yard, broke some sprinkler heads, got yelled at by everybody's parents. We just kind of rotated lawn to lawn, and yeah, we were a little bit mischievous, but not like crazy. We just liked having fun.
And how has San Antonio shaped you as an individual and athletically as well?
I think I grew up in the right place for the sport that I like to play. I grew up playing football. I started when I was 9 years old, and how does a 9-year-old really realize that football in Texas is serious? You don't really come into that kind of a perspective or knowledge until you're a lot older. So I'm really grateful for my parents' decisions to move down to San Antonio and then to stay down there, despite probably job opportunities to move us somewhere else. I got to keep my same friends, stay in the same system, compete probably against some of the better teams, throughout the country, and really get an idea of what real competition was. And it set me up well for where I wanted to go too. I had coaches along the way who took their job serious, and as far as molding young athletes or young men and teaching them some principles that would set them up for success. And the transition to the Olympics or the Olympic movement was fairly easy. I mean, I had all these little tools that, there's no substitute for hard work. You throw in a little bit of talent and you're pretty much, you're on your way. I mean, you just got to execute the finer details of your sport, but hard work goes a long way.
And what support have you received from your community with your bobsled career?
I think that I rarely get to go back down to San Antonio just because I made the decision to move up to Lake Placid, New York. They've got a training center there. When the season kicks off and the season ends, I can kind of say that I'm home. I don't have to travel any further. I've got all my stuff, and it makes that transition easy. So, but when I go home, I feel that everybody does a good job keeping up with what's going on, supporting me. I got to be involved with a couple smaller things when Michelle Obama was doing the Get Fit program, and so I got with Julian Castro, and we went to a couple Boys and Girls Club, and we were active. But like I said, I was only home for a week or two, so I couldn't get too involved with that. But I know when I come home, I'm welcomed, and sometimes I feel like I'm on the same level as some of the greats from San Antonio, and that's pretty cool because I look up to the Spurs especially, and definitely tracking them right now in the playoffs and wishing them well. Well, I guess I can't say current events, right? Can't really say current events in the dang thing, right?
Say that one more time, I can't hear you.
I said you can't really say current events if we're doing this for like future airing.
It's fine.
Because people are going to be like, what? February? Yeah.
Do you have a nickname for San Antonio?
No, I mean, they call it the Alamo City, but I just call it home. Like I say, I call Lake Placid my home, but when I say I'm going home, I'm going to San Antonio, and there's a couple people that for sure I'm going to see, and I see my buddy Clay and my buddy Tim, and I'll probably go out to the high school and see what's happening around there. But that's home. That's where I feel comfortable. I get to relax. I get to kind of turn it off for a little bit and rejuvenate, your mind and your body. And then you're even hungrier the next time you return to competition or to wherever we're going, somewhere around the world.
How supportive were your parents in starting your bobsled career?
Well, I think that without the encouragement from my parents and their support, it would never have happened. My mom encouraged me just to try out, and that's really all it took. I think once I got a little taste of it, I got to meet some of the athletes that were also trying out for the sport in 2007. I just kind of made the decision that these are the kind of people that I need to be around. These people think like I do. They're after something a lot more than just being competitive on the weekend. We're after like the ultimate goal of being successful. And I was fortunate to start at a really good time. I made some good friends who went on to be medalists, 7-8 years later. I won my first medal in 2010, and unfortunately, not everybody. We can only have 4 people on each sled, but they kept grinding. I got to be their roommates, got to see them work hard, encourage them, and sadly, they beat me out for the spot, but that's fine. They're coming back they've come back, I should say, and I'm excited for great things. A couple more medals for the U.S. Maybe we'll keep the streak alive.
You mentioned that you won a gold medal. What was that moment like to stand on the top of the podium?
I think it was a win for everybody, right? Your whole support network, the team behind the team, and then and a great accomplishment for myself. But at the same time, it came 3 years into my career, so I couldn't really say, I did it, right? I achieved everything you could in the sport in my 3rd year, because then where do you have to go from there? So rightfully I was pumped up because I'd never won anything on that scale or had like a championship. I'd never won a championship before at anything, not Little League, not high school football. We always came up short. And I couldn't think of a better story. I think that's what made it even better to me, is that, I was new to the team. I bought into the things that the older guys were putting out there, like, hey, we need to do this. If we're going to be successful, we've got to do the things like this. We got to push faster. We've got to ride better. We have to look at all these little details and be better than everybody else in the world. And I wasn't going to object to that. I bought into that, and we really came together. I mean, there are some hard times like you have with your siblings, right? You fight. But at the end of it, for everything to look at each other on top of the podium and just say, wow, all of that stuff that we did. Like, we were together, I think, almost every day from July 1st through the games, through February 28th. And there were some times, right, that we needed some time away from each other, but we didn't, because we were all in. And so that the medal is more of like a token of all of these memories put together, and the hard work of like I said, my support network growing up, my parents, my family, my coaches, our staff, the sled builders. Everybody had a hand in that medal, and so, I mean, there's hundreds of people that can be proud. It's not just 4 people won a medal.
Well, like you said, you accomplished a gold medal in your first 3 years. So what keeps you motivated now to keep going back to the Olympics and stuff?
I think that after Vancouver, I knew that we were going to have one guy retire, Steve Messler. I knew he was going to retire, and my roommate, Steve Langton, was going to take his place, and I was excited. I was like, wow, I mean, we're not really going to miss a beat. We're going to keep going out there. The next year, we won a whole bunch of medals, and we ended up in the next 3 years, we won medals at all 3 world championships, and in 2012, we were world champions. So I didn't think, right, we weren't going to lose any steam. We had all the momentum, and I ended up getting hurt before Sochi in June of that summer. And it was kind of a day of, I didn't stress about it, actually. I said, I'll be fine, and I just never got better, ended up losing my spot. But I think the fight for the possibility of another one is what keeps me coming back. And then obviously the people you're surrounded by, your teammates, that's what makes it special. Getting to work hard every day with those guys and seeing how much effort they're putting into it. If it was easy, right, then probably have a lot more people out here in the cold running around in spandex going 90 miles an hour. But we don't, because it's not very easy. And we know that the nations around the world, or the countries around the world, they're coming for us. So, I think that being competitive, but you have to almost be fictitious on your competition, because I don't get to see what my competition's doing. And I start training. When you start training, you're just kind of pretending, right? I need to be a little bit better than that. Make up your goals. And in October every year, we get to see what the rest of the world has to offer. And you kind of know at that moment, did I do enough? And I've been thankful to say that I've almost every year done enough. And
how does your Army background impact your training for bobsled?
I think that from the mental side and the resiliency side, I think that you learn a lot along the way. You learn to value what you have. You can break down things to the most simplistic form, right? When I went to the Air Force Academy, they wouldn't let you sit down. You couldn't lean on stuff. You didn't even have a watch. So when you get all these things back, you're like, wow. It makes life so much more simple. So you don't overcomplicate stuff. I think that I'm more appreciative, also more humble. I've gone to basic training twice. I've been around, a bunch of soldiers, and I've heard their stories, and I think it keeps me humble too, because you might think at some time or some point in time, right, your life's really difficult, but it's not. I think that we overcomplicate our days, and we tend to be a little bit negative about, one little issue, and so I think that having perspective and being able to talk to, whether it's combat vets or just people with more experience, soldiers with more experience, and I've met soldiers along the way that are in my program, the World Class Athlete program, and I'm just wowed by their stories, and I think that for them to have the attitude that they do after everything that they've done and gone through, and still be positive and still be successful, it just kind of keeps my vision clear on what I need to be working on, and not to get hung up on that, I don't know what you want to call it, but the stuff that can weigh you down. Does this stuff really, really matter? And then at the same time, I think that when you wear the uniform, right, and some 450,000 soldiers in the Army, right, and I'm a representative, we all wear the same uniform. So I'm representing all of them. And so I want to do them proud. I want them to look at me and say, wow, he's doing us proud, because I know that they're all taking care of their job every day. And we're doing it, different countries around the world, different facets of life, different jobs, but we're all working hard for A, for our country, but B, because we want to. We're all volunteered to be here, and I think that has a lot to do with, says a lot about you. I wasn't told to be here. I wasn't told to join, to wear the uniform, to go here, do this, do that. I choose to. And I think having the freedom to do that makes me want to work even harder.
For someone who is trying to pursue a dream, what advice would you give that person?
I think that anything I can say, you can say the cliche thing of anything's possible, but I would say be a little bit realistic with your goals, right? Set some initial goals that are achievable. They're a little bit out there, but they're achievable. And it almost has a snowball effect of if you're setting, you have a large goal. Let's say my goal was to go to the Olympic Games. So when I first started the sport, I needed to slide. I needed to be in a sled, bobsledding, to be a bobsledder. So check that off the list. And then I said, well, I probably should get on a better team. How do I do that? Okay, I need to improve myself physically. I need to educate myself about the sport. So I think having an appropriate or a proper goal system is going to allow for you to chase your dream. I mean, if I said I want to be an astronaut, I don't really know how to do that, but I'm sure that at some point in time, right, I'm going to have to go back and go to school. I'm going to have to, and maybe I'm not qualified for that. I don't know. But you got to set, you can't look so far in the future that you miss what's happening right now. You got to be in the present. You got to live in the moment and set some goals up for today or tomorrow. And once you start doing that, that'll set you up for maybe a year from now or 5 years from now. But I think it's all about proper goal setting.
Perfect. So I have a couple of repeat after me lines, and then you will be set to go. So let the games begin.
Let the games begin.
We are Team USA.
We are Team USA.
I'm Justin Olsen, and you're watching the Olympic Channel, home of Team USA.
I'm Justin Olsen, and you're watching the Olympic Channel, home of Team USA.
The Olympic Channel, home of Team USA.
The Olympic Channel, home of Team USA.
I have a few cue cards for you to read,
Okay.
and then you'll be all set. One
Okay.
second. Can you see this in
Yep.
the monitor?
Yep.
You can read it whenever you're ready.
Okay. I'm Justin Olsen. I hope to make Texas proud during the Winter Olympics on KPRC Channel 2.
All right, one more time.
I'm Justin Olsen. I hope to make Texas proud during the Winter Olympics on KPRC Channel 2.
I'll do the last one.
Okay. I'm bobsledder Justin Olsen, and I'm racing for Olympic gold. Watch the. I'm bobsledder Justin Olsen, and I'm racing for Olympic gold. Watch the Winter Olympics on KPRC Channel 2. I'm Justin Olsen, Texas born and bred. Watch the Winter Olympics on NBC5. Texas connects us.
And then the last one, do you want me to read it and you repeat it, or do you want to read it off the cue card?
Well, what is the last line?
This is the last one.
Okay. I can just, yeah. Of what? Just read it right now?
Yeah, you can read it.
Okay. The Olympic Winter Games on NBC5. Texas connects us.
Perfect, you're all set.
Okay.
Thank you.